Om Nam Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudiraet
Tato Jayamudire
Nashtaprayasu Bhadresu
Nashtaprayesu Bhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke
Bhagavati Uttama
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki.
Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, title Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation, and verse number 13. Panchetani Mahabaho
Panchayati Mahabahu
Karanani Nibodhame
Karanani Nibodhame
Sankhye Kritante Proktani
Sankhe Krutante Proktani
Siddhaye Sarvakarmanam
Siddhaye Sarvakarmanam
Panchetani Mahabaho
Panchaytani Mahabaho
Karanani Nibodhame
Karanani Nibodhame
Sankhya Kritante Proktani
Sankhe Krutante Proktani
Siddhaye Sarvakarmanam.
Siddhaye Sarvakarmanam.
Any Prabhuji, Mataji?
Panchayetani Mahabaho
Panchaitani Mahabaho
Karanani Nibodhame
Karanani Nibodhame
Sankhe Krutante Proktani
Sankhye Kritante Proktani
Siddhaye Sarvakarmanam.
Siddhaye Sarvakarmanam.
Panchaitani Mahabaho
Panchaitani Mahabaho
Karanani Nibodhame
Karanani Nibodhame
Sankhe Krutante Proktani
Sankhye Kritante Proktani
Siddhaye Sarvakarmanam.
Siddhaye Sarvakarmanam.
Word by word meaning. Pancha, 5.
Panch, 5.
Etani, these.
Etani, these.
Mahabaho, O mighty armed one.
Mahabaho, O mighty armed one.
Karanani, causes.
Karanani, causes.
Nibodha, just understand.
Nibodha, just understand.
Me, from me.
Me from
Me from me.
Sankhye, in the Vedanta.
Sankhya in the Vedanta.
Sankhya in the Vedanta.
Kritante, in the conclusion.
Kritante in the conclusion.
Proktani, said.
Proktani
said.
Siddhaye, for the perfection.
Siddhaye, for the perfection.
Sarva, of all.
Sarva of all.
Sarva of all.
Karmanam, activities.
Karmanam
activities.
Translation by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. O mighty armed Arjuna.
O mighty armed Arjuna.
According to the Vedanta.
According to the
Vedanta.
There are 5 causes.
There are 5
causes.
For the accomplishment.
For the accomplishment.
Of all action.
Of all action.
Now learn of these from me.
Now learn of these from me.
Anyone would like to lead the purport?
A question may be raised that since any activity performed must have some reaction, how is it that the person in Krishna consciousness does not suffer or enjoy the reactions of work? The Lord is writing Vedanta philosophy to show how this is possible. He says that there are 5 causes for all the activities, and for success in all activities one should consider these 5 causes. Sankhya means the stock of knowledge, and the Vedanta is the final stock of knowledge accepted by all the leading acharyas. Even Shankara asserts the Vedanta Sutra as such. Therefore, such authority should be consulted. The ultimate control is invested in the super soul. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya Chaham Hrudi Sannivishtaha. He is engaging everyone in certain activities by reminding him of his past actions. And Krishna consciousness acts done under his direction. From within yield no reaction, either in this life or in the life after death.
Thank you. Let's all chant together. Om Ajnanatimirandasya
Tatasya
Jnananjanashalakaya
Jnananjana-Shalakaya
Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai
Samena
Sri Gurave
Tasmai
Namo
Shri Gurave
Sri
Namah
Chaitanya
Shri Chaitanya
Manobhistam Stapitam
Manobhishtam
Yena
Sthapitam
Bhutale
Yena Bhutale
Swayam
Swayam Rupa
Kadamaiham
Kadayam
Dadati
Ati
Swapadantikam
Swapadantikam
Vandeham Shri Guru
Vandeyaham
Shri
Shri
Utapata
Guru
Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam
Shri Rupam
Sagrajatam Sahagana
Sagrajatam
Raghunatham Vitam Tam
Saranatam Vitam
Sajivam
Tam Sajivam
Sadvaitam
Sadhutam
Savadhutam Parijana
Sadhutam
Saitam
Parijan
Krishna
Saitam
Chaitanya
Krishna
Devam
Chaitanya Devam
Sri
Sri
Radha Krishna
Radha Krishna
Padan Sagana
Padan
Lalita Sri
Sagalalita
Vishaka
Sri
Vitamsha
Vishakharmitancha
He Krishna
He
Karuna
Krishna Karuna
Dinabandhu
Sindhu
Jagatpate
Sindhu Jagatpate
Gopesha Gopika
Gopesha
Kanta
Gopika
Radha
Kanta
Kanta
Radha
Namastu
Kanta Namostute
Tapta Kanchana
Tapta Kanchan
Gaurangi Radhe
Gaurangi Radhe
Vrindavaneshwari
Vrindavaneshwari
Vrishabhanusute Devi
Vrishabhanusute Devi
Pranamami
Pranamami
Hari
Hari Priye Vanchakalpa
Vanchakalpataru Vishwakripa Sindhu
Tadasya
Vaivacha
Sindhu Vayevacha
Patitanam
Patitanam
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namah
Namo Namah
Jai Shri Krishna
Jai Sri
Chaitanya
Krishna
Prabhu
Chaitanya
Nityananda
Prabhu
Shri Advaita
Nityananda
Gadadhar Shivash Adi Gaura Bhakta
Gaur
Vrinda
Bhakta Vrinda
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Hare
Rama
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 Hare Rama
Rama Hare Hare
Hare Hare
Nilachara Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannathay Te Namah. So thank you so much for joining this wonderful Sangha, and what a words today. Everybody is related. Everybody should understand from this verse so many intricacies on the laws of karma. And this is a verse which everybody should take heart into. So here the Supreme Personality of Godhead is referring to Arjuna as Mahabaho, one who is a warrior, is a mighty armed, and he is saying that this is a preface to the verse wherein the factors affecting the outcome of the karma is described here. So here he's saying there are five items which identify the outcome of the activities. O Mahabaho, O Arjuna Mahabaho, you may be doing one thing, you may be doing another thing. You think the outcome of the activity is dependent on you, but you are just one of the five items which drive the outcome of the work. See, most of us, whenever we end up doing, we give full throttle, full hard work, but eventually the outcome doesn't happen. And we curse ourselves, we curse ourselves, we curse ourselves. But actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is telling the prescription of the medicine right here that there are five items which are dependent on the outcome of the work. These five items, these five factors, these five causes are dependent on the outcome of the work. You alone are not enough. If all of you understand this verse, you will not have frustration in life. Your frustration will go away because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the person who created this entire universe, who gave life and soul to you, he is saying there are five items, and these five items are going to be discussed in the next verse. So the way this came about, in the beginning of the verse, beginning of the chapter, Arjuna wanted to ask the difference between Tyaga and Sannyasa. And later, as Krishna is explaining about sannyasa in different modes, eventually he agrees, or rather he gets Arjuna to agree that these are very related items, Tyaga and sannyasa. Now, the karma or the action, as La Prabhupada says, karma, yoga, is action in Krishna consciousness. The action is being spoken in the next five verses. These details will be spoken here. So that's why this chapter 18, we are taking every verse because every verse has references to the first 17 chapters. So what are the 5 items which identifies the outcome of the body of work? Is actually adhisthan. That means the place of action, which is the body, which where we are trying to do the body. And the karta, the doer. In this case, it is the soul, because he is acting on behalf. If the soul is not there, body will not cease to exist. So whenever we want to do something with a lot of effort, a lot of enthusiasm, that people say, right, put your soul in there, make it intense, make it deep, make it count, give when it matters, put your soul. So it's the karta. And then the third item is karana, senses, instruments of action. Because whenever we're acting against the modes. There is this mode of goodness, mode of ignorance, mode of passion. So when we are acting under the senses, the outcomes vary. And then the fourth is endeavor. You may be giving the endeavor, but by virtue of the karmic reaction you had, that endeavor may be nullified because of so many things you have done in the past, and so on and so forth. And the fifth cause is supersoul. Unless the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is super soul. We have spoken a lot about the bird looking at the other bird in the tree, where this bird, the second bird in this example, is eating the fruits of the tree and the other bird is looking. See, the bird who is eating the fruits is actually our senses who want to get entangled in various different senses. But the super soul who is watching us all the time, unless super soul who has seen all our acts in the past from 10 years, 20 years, 100 years, 1000 years, grants the outcome of the activity, whatever you end up doing will not be successful. See, if everybody resorts to reading Bhagavad Gita and understanding Bhagavad Gita in the context of these 5 items, these 5 factors which identifies the outcome of the work, then you all will never be frustrated. You gave your, that's why they say, give your best, leave everything to rest. Leave everything to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But give your best. You can, and don't expect that it will always be great, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead has all the counts of your actions. And yet, that's why anytime you end up doing bad work, think that in future, if you end up doing some good work, this bad work you have done where you have hurt somebody else is going to count in subsequent things, because super soul is residing in our heart and watching everything. That is the reason why good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people, because you never know what kind of actions they went through. And this is where Krishna very clearly, actually these 5 things, adhisthana, karta, karana, chesta, and daivam, will be discussed in the next verse. But we really, this is a preface where Krishna is saying from the Sankhya Yoga, which Srila Prabhupada is saying, let's also discuss that, because Srila Prabhupada's purports are very powerful and he mentions a lot of things. He says, when you have a flower, you have a flower. The flower, the lower portion of the flower, there's a stalk, and that stalk is connected to the branch. So that stalk of knowledge, the stalk of knowledge, where it is a more thicker protrusion from where the flowers emanates, there are multiple flowers emanating from the stalk. And that stalk of knowledge is Sankhya Yoga, and the flower is the final stalk of knowledge. So you see Sankhya Yoga and Vedanta Sutra, they are related. Here, Srila Prabhupada says the Sankhya Yoga is essentially the lump of the lower portion of the flower from where all the flowers emanate. But the end game in this breadth of knowledge is the Vedanta, which is the final stalk of knowledge. Suppose there are 5 flowers, there are 5 stalks of knowledge emanating from the main stalk, that is Sankhya Yoga. So from Sankhya Yoga, Vedanta Sutra, which is a culmination of the outcome of all the final Veda Anta. That means the end of all the theories and everything emanates. So Srila Prabhupada is quoting the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by saying all the Vedanta Sutra of all the Sankhya in the Vedanta, Sankhya Kritante Proktani. That means it is said in the Vedanta Sutras that Panchetani, that means there are 5 items which drives the outcome. And if you understand this, you will never be frustrated because you have put your endeavor. That endeavor is just 20%. And that endeavor is going against, depending on the sense perception you have. Sometimes you have given the endeavor, but you go with your sleepy face to the meeting and your body language is not giving up. The kind of points and PowerPoints you're trying to put across in a meeting where you have the CIOs and CXOs of the company, at the time you realize that you're not giving the best because you're controlled by the mode of passion, and sometimes you're not clean enough. Your mind is going haywire, and you met with an accident before going to the biggest meeting of your life, and then you're behaving different. So it's the senses which is coming against your endeavor, and your soul is not there. You internally don't think that that project is right for the outcome of the company. You think you're basically doing it because that's the job. So you're not soulfully there, and your body is not there, even if you're giving the best endeavor. So you see, there are five, and then Daivyam. Then at the end of the day, if the super soul doesn't want it, whatever you do, you won't be successful. And this is where we all have to understand the mighty armed archer Karna. Why Karna is very important for our philosophy is Karna was a ferocious warrior. He was an archer. Sometimes he has gone on to defeat Arjuna in prior battles. And on the day of the battle, on the preface to the battle, he literally rammed at the Pandavas' army. Yudhishthir lost like anything. Bhima, he shoot Bhima in such a way that Bhima's entire chariot was crushed. Bhima's everything was shattered. Bhima literally cried in front of Karna that kill me as a Kshatriya. I can't stand this. Nakula Sahadev, he didn't even think about it. He says, I won't fight with you. Karna was so voracious. He was so ferocious. He is actually given the word to Mother Kunti that, Mom, 5 of your kids will survive. I assure you. So he was just out of the world. See, all these things, what you see, the 5 items we're talking about, it was very much there. He was perfectly positioned. His body was rugged, and he was he was he was beaming with confidence, and he was focused, and his efforts were just second to none. The next day, he was shooting Arjuna like anything, like as if Arjuna was losing. Arjuna has no chance in the game. Finally, Krishna reminded him of how Abhimanyu was killed, and Arjuna took over from there. At that time, Karna's wheel of the chariot got stuck, and at the time, Madhusudana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the super soul, the super cause, Daivyam in this example, asked Arjuna to shoot, and Arjuna shoot him. And at that time, there is a dialogue between Karna and Lord Krishna. Why did you shoot me at this time when I was in a disastrous condition? Then Krishna reminded him of the assembly where Mother Draupadi was disrobed. He reminded him of the burning of the wax house. He reminded him of how they give poison to Bhima and put him in the water. He told him about about Karna's bad association in the form of Duryodhana. And even if Karna was a star-studded general, on the day before Krishna went to do the mediation, Karna went to Vidurji's house to meet Krishna. And there is a beautiful dialogue between Krishna and Karna. But for the sake of time, we should all understand that there are three things in our life which will always get us down, which we all should remember from Karna's life, which aligns with these five tenets of success. That's the reason why Bhagavad Gita is studied in corporates and universities, because the essence is right here in front of us. And everybody talks about karma, karma, do your duty, work is worship, and so many things. And just before this week, we also learned about everybody tells us to do karma, but nobody tells us how to give up the outcome or the results of the karma, which is the main thing Bhagavad Gita talks about. Nobody teaches us. So Bhagavad Gita is taught with a very wrong mindset. And the three things which all should learn from the life of karma is bad association. He was a great soul, but he had a bad association in Duryodhana. And also, the second thing Karna epitomized, which is wrong, is the victim mentality. Thinking that you are a victim all the time, thinking that you are a Sutaputra, you are so and so, you are misguided. That victim mentality, however downtrodden you may be, you can't give that reason for your failure. And if you give that reason for your failure, behind the scene, your soul is not there when you are making an effort. The victim mentality is a very bad thing. And secondly, Karna had a tendency to showcase what he can do and what he cannot do. You do not have to prove yourself anytime. If you are what you are, you go to the temple, you do not have to prove that you are the best devotee in the world. You do not have to show off, or you don't have to think that because of so and so things, I'm not able to do something. That ability, that is called inferiority complex. And Karna had that inferiority complex, and that will always drag you down. So there are three things we learn from Karna, which some of our great acharyas have mentioned as to why, even if you're the best and the finest, don't get surprised when the outcome is bad, because your association could be bad. You may be having a victim mentality, and you may be having a inferiority complex, which will always drag you down, which Karna had everything going for him, but Karna just couldn't prevail, because the fifth thing, which is the ultimate cause, which we are going to deep into this. That's why this next 5 days will be very interesting, actually. Everybody talks about karma when it comes to bhakti. In the day of work, and work is worship, why are we talking about bhakti? We should all be doing work. And because of the country we live in, we don't do work, the country is going down. But work should be understood in the context of Krishna consciousness, because at the end of the day, the super cause, the cause of all causes, is the super soul. And and if we don't understand that, and that's why Srila Prabhupada quotes, Sarvasya Chaham Hrida Sannivistum. Lord is seated in everyone's heart, and from the Lord come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. You remember something because of the Lord, you forget something because of the Lord. And if you do not have a good relationship with the Lord by understanding your soul, you will not do well in the exam, because you will forget, because you haven't understood the Lord, because the Lord is in the heart. And if you do not understand your heart, whatever you have done got by hearted, by repeating, it's all mechanical. Something will happen, you'll forget everything. So that's the reason why Sarvasjam. And then Lord, and also many times we go or do this meditation, do this thing to gain remembrance, do this vitamin to do remembrance. But Lord says, Tesam satato yuktanam bhajatam priti purbakam dadhami buddhi yogam tam yenama payantite. That means those who are constantly devoted to serving Him, I give the understanding, I give them knowledge by which they can come to me. In order to gain knowledge, we do not need vitamins. We do not need this exercise, one eye here, one eye there. You have so many, oh, you remember this, there is a nerve which is going this way, he is going to do. That is not how you remember things. You remember things by bhajatam priti purbakam dadami buddhi yogam tam. Lord gives you knowledge. Lord will give you understanding. If you understand the Lord properly by looking at the scriptures, looking at understanding the soul properly, then you'll gain the understanding. And this meditation, vitamins are not going to take you anywhere. And that is a very, very exemplified thing. In many verses, Lord talks about bhajatam priti purvakam, and then I give them understanding. In order to gain understanding, you have to do bhajatam priti purvakam. And then as to just summarize all the three things, you need to be determined. You want to use your body, and you have to be soulfully enthused, and you need to have all your senses going after the outcome. You have to have the chesta, which is the positive attitude idea, which will, and then eventually it is the super soul. If the Lord doesn't want something, at the end of the day, if something happens, if you're not accepting it, then you are not accepting the belief or the outcome of Lord's wishes. And we should all accept the outcome of Lord's wishes. And the final cause, Sarva Karana Karana, is the super soul. And because we do not get it, we cry, we curse, we do so many things. My luck is bad. My situation is bad. I might have done something bad. That is right. We might have done something right, or we might have done something right, because of which we Sikhs are talking about Krishna consciousness and understanding the intricacies of why karma and the outcome of karma can be different, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is saying these are the five things which drive the outcome. and 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 if you have understood this, we will not be popped out. We'll do our duty, we'll forget about the outcome, and move on to do our next duty, which is why Krishna consciousness makes us all stronger day after day, day after day. The day one you joined Krishna consciousness, you had so many doubts, but after joining, after studying Bhagavad Gita, we'll hear your views and stories and thoughts. Hasn't Krishna consciousness made you stronger as an individual and in your ability to accept the outcome of your actions? And we can go on, but I think the message, nobody can say the message better than the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Srila Prabhupada. And everything is in the message. We are just messengers here. So we can end here, hear about your thoughts. These things, if we take it to heart, we'll never be unhappy in our life. We'll just accept what we have got and move on and on and on. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Any questions, comments, Prabhu? Matajis?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanvat pranam all Goshen.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I was always, I was not very clear on this verse, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for explaining so easily. It was very lucid explanation, Prabhuji. And it is very hard for me even to remember these five, that what are the five causes. But the way you have told is definitely very easy to understand, Prabhuji. I appreciate that. I always had a why there was some confusion, Prabhuji. That confusion is cleared, but my question is, why is this not why is this not there in the earlier chapters, Prabhuji? There must be some reason.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Prabhu, what I can say is Arjuna was asking different types of questions. So
Right.
the chapter 18 is actually the summary or the conclusion of all of that. So in a way, in chapter 3 and 4, there are references to uh, this. In 15th, he talks about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, talks about uh, talks Sarvasya Chaham Hridaya Sannivishtam. That means from him comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. In chapter 10, he talks about Bhajatam Priti Purukam Dadami Buddhi Yogantam. But in order to bring it all together, you're right. It is coming on the 18th chapter, but I think he is summarizing it. The Bhagavad Gita is ending, and he is summarizing it. That's what I think is the reason, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, because I feel that this is the most important verse.
Yeah, Prabhu, you're right. But one thing I must have my difference in opinion, Prabhu. This is because we are all Indians. We have been told from the childhood to be, because when I went to my grand uncle, means my grandfather's younger brother, I was talking about bhakti, but he says this is the time to do karma to be successful. So we are very much trained in our life to do our karma, do our expect outcome, and we have been and to stand first in the class, this, that, and all. So there is that inherent cultural trend, and Srila Prabhupada beautifully, if Srila Prabhupada wouldn't have come to our lives, we wouldn't have understood this well, because Srila Prabhupada summarized this so beautifully, and some of the other acharyas from him did it in so lucid way. We wouldn't have understood. It's, I think, in its upbringing, Prabhu. Sorry to interject. That's what I thought.
No, Prabhuji. Yes, absolutely. Your point is very valid, Prabhuji. I am trying to understand why Krishna did not. I know he's summarizing here. Krishna talked about endeavor. Talked. He talked about, I don't know, the senses instruments of action. Karta. He talked about Adhistan. All he talked independently there. I know in many chapters he has talked, Prabhuji.
Right.
I feel that this because this is the I feel that this is the essence of any action of ours, Prabhuji, right? These
Yeah.
5 factors.
Mhm.
These 5 factors are the essence of everything. So there must be a reason why Krishna introduced that in this essence. Or maybe he introduced individual parts and he summarized here. That is what we can conclude. But I feel that this is a very important verse which we should mm, definitely contemplate a lot, whether it is a Bhagavad Gita or it is a philosophical discussion or it is a in general also, Prabhuji, even in material life also.
Yeah.
Very thanks for the very good explanation, Prabhuji. Appreciate.
Yeah. I learned a lot as well, Prabhu. Thank you.
The senses part I did not understand much very clear, Prabhuji. How senses can be one of the factors, because senses are driven by the mind, intelligence, and ego, right? Is that what senses mean here? Because senses are just they are the objects of, means they are the ways to act, but
True.
what drives is your mind, intelligence, and ego, right?
Exactly. So this mind intelligence and false ego can be swayed by the gunas, by the modes in the material nature. So you may have the best thought process, but if you're feeling sleepy in the mode of passion, for example, your outcome will be different. And
Right.
likewise, if you have taken bath, you're very agile, and you are connecting everything, and the discussion is going on. Everybody is really contributing. Everybody is catching whatever the other one is throwing. So it becomes a coherent meeting. And sometimes you realize some meetings will happen after 20 minutes, everybody's all around the place, and the meeting will be a disaster. So this is precisely, and they'll say in these meetings, they'll say, oh, hey, I have to go and get a coffee. I still haven't got my coffee. So you see that narrative coming out.
Tendency, yeah.
Yeah, the tendency, yeah.
So what I'm trying to understand, this third point, Prabhuji, karna
Karana.
means karna. Okay, karna means our senses. Okay, our moods. It's not the. I was interpreting that as the instruments of action. Means I was interpreting as the hands, legs. Not that, right, Prabhuji? Here, this is here the modes basically, right?
Modes,
Here the
yeah.
karma.
Modes.
Got it. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. That was my confusion.
And Prabhuji, we are this verse where all these 5 items are described. These words are coming from the next verse. So next verse will be even more interesting. And the next 5 verses will focus on adhishtanam, karta, karana, chesta. So the next 6 courses, classes will be very, very interesting. And,
Yes,
and I'm sure you all will bring in your realizations.
Yeah, I never realized that this verse was in 100, top 108, because for me this was the main verse which attracted me, Prabhuji, but I was not very clear and had confusion.
And just to clarify, Prabhuji, after 17th chapter, as 18th chapter is the conclusion, we are not from the 18th chapter onwards. We are going every verse. We are not doing top 108 because I think some people had missed some courses, and I thought 18th chapter, if you go every verse, then I think in a year we'll summarize everything. So that's
very
why.
Good, Prabhuji. That's 18th and 2nd and 18th chapter are very, very important, Prabhuji.
Right, Prabhu. You're right.
I think 2nd also we did each and every verse. I think most of the verses. I think
a lot of the verses we did, but 2nd chapter is one of the biggest chapters, and that is probably why we did not do everything. But 18th, I assure you, Prabhu, we are going every verse by verse.
Very
so
nice.
Next time it will be 18.14.
Okay, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you for a great explanation.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai. Any other comments, Prabhu?
No, thanks, Prabhuji.
And just so you know, Prajapati Prabhu, he generally lives in 2 places, India and US, 6 months, 6 months. So as it is getting cold, he is now in Gujarat. 2 days back he left. And what a prompt way to attend the class on reaching India from Gujarat. So I'm very impressed. When I go, I become so tired and my body gives up. But I really salute your commitment. And we saw Prabhuji every Sunday in the temple. But from next 3-4 months, we will miss him. But we will see him through this virtual Sangha. So thank you, Prabhu.
No, that's great.
I should thank you, Prabhuji, for your comment.
We tend to be lazy, Prabhuji, but Prabhuji is so sincere. Even if no one is there, he will be there, Prabhuji. And that too from India at this time. I think now it is somewhere around 6-ish, right? 6, 7, 5, 5:30. But when we started, it is, I think, around 5:45, 6. Yeah, that's great, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, I also see, Prabhuji was here 2 weeks back. I thought, oh, okay. That's great, Prabhuji. But that is also what I want to tell is, Prabhuji, it is Krishna's blessing only that you can stay here and there. Why I'm telling is that is my that Prabhuji wish, that I also want to stay from Kartik to Gaur Purnima in India once I hear. So it's happening with you means definitely there is a lot of Krishna's mercy and you are very pious and capable. That's why Krishna gave you that option, Prabhu. Hari Bol, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Jai Prabhu.
Hare Bol. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Any other comments? Niranjan Prabhu, Shanta Mataji, you put your comment in the chat. Anything else? Anybody wants to mention? Tradloki Prabhu is there.
Today's topic
is nice lecture, Prabhuji, and good reminder.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. So, Niranjan Prabhu, you have any comments?
No, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
One of the very, very good
Thank you.
words.
So we'll end here. We don't want to take your personal time. It is great to meet all of you virtually and talk about the glories of Bhagavad Gita and how deep Krishna has gone and how Srila Prabhupada is systematically teaching us to understand the context around everything. And soon, next verse is exactly this. All these 5 words are coming from that next verse, and then one after other. And there is a lot in this because 18th chapter is very powerful. So we'll do that. And also, Gita Jayanti is coming. The appearance of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna spoke to Bhagavad Arjuna at this time in Mokshada Ekadasi day, and gift Bhagavad Gita, as Bhakti Ratnakar once mentioned, and he's quoting from Bhakti Maharaj. He says, "This happiness of Krishna consciousness have to be shared." So whenever you go for any holiday party or get together, just gift them a Bhagavad Gita. Gift 3 or 4 friends Bhagavad Gita. You can take a box of 12 or 18 for $100, like $6, and you can gift. If somebody gives $10, $20, you can give it back to temple. So your gift is there, and by getting it, you're getting some Lakshmi to the temple. And this is the month of December when book marathon goes on. And once there was a devotee. I mentioned this before. This was a devotee who was leaving for India because he lost his job in early 2002 or 2005 or 2008. So before going back to India, he gave a class in MVCC in our temple. Our temple was at that time MVCC, Marathi Vishwa Community Center, Lawrence Harbor. And 7, 8 years, 10 years back, so I was going to India. My connection was through Delhi. I was staying in ISKCON Delhi guest house. So we went to Sarojini Market to do some shopping. And I saw the same Prabhu who gave the class in ISKCON of Central New Jersey among 10 brahmacharis, distributing book in the month of December cold to hundreds and thousands of people. And the people were getting benefited. And I met him and told him that I saw you, and he could recognize me as well. But the moral of the story is you never know how people are getting connected by the mercy of this beautiful book, which is written in English, and people who can't read Sanskrit can read this. So this is a wealth, this is a gift you should share, and make sure you give it to everybody, to your friends, relatives, and you never know how beneficial it will be at some point of time and their need, when they need it, when they're frustrated, when they're looking for questions, and the answers like this can transform them. So we'll end here. We have Sunday program tomorrow. And is there any other comments, questions, final thoughts?
Actually, one thing, we are giving locally the books, Prabhuji. I encourage, we invite them to any Bhakti Shastri closer to them. Because having a book will collect dust in the bookshelf.
Mhm.
The best way to read about the book is to be in the Bhakti Shastri, what we are doing. That is, whoever we are giving book distribution, we should do that, Prabhuji, that invite them to the nearest Bhakti Vriksha, so that they will appreciate the Bhagavad Gita, the
Yeah, yeah,
content.
definitely. Please invite them to any Bhakti Vriksha of our temple. They will definitely work with the close-knit group of devotees where you can share a lot of your hearts like you're doing now. It will be beneficial to them. What is being beneficial to you? It was beneficial to me when I joined a Bhakti Vriksha. It will be beneficial to you. And then you go and spread the message of the Supreme to everybody. So we'll pay or obeisance at the lotus feet of all Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpataru Vaishya kripa sindhu vaivacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Vaishnav ki jai. Bhagavad Gita महाग्रंथ की जय. शिला प्रभुपाद की जय. गौर प्रेमानंदे. हरि हरि बोल.
Hari Hari Bol, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.